The financier, who had ties to celebrities, politicians, and royalty, was arrested on multiple disturbing charges. He died by suicide in jail, but questions about his life and crimes still remain. What we do and don't know about Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Edward Epstein was born on January 20, 1953, in the Brooklyn borough of New York City. His parents, Pauline Paula Stolofsky and Seymour George Epstein, were Jewish and had married in 1952, shortly before his birth. Pauline worked as a school aide and was a homemaker. Paula was a wonderful mother and homemaker, despite the fact that she had a full-time job, according to a former childhood friend of Epstein's. Seymour worked for the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation as a groundskeeper and gardener. Jeffrey was the older of two siblings. He and his brother Mark grew up in the working-class neighborhood of Seagate, a private gated community in Coney Island, Brooklyn. Epstein was referred to as Bear by his parents, while Mark was known as Poogie. Neighbors described the Epstein family as being so gentle, the most gentle people. Epstein attended local public schools, first attending Public School 188, and then Mark Twain Junior High School, nearby, and usually earned money by tutoring classmates. Acquaintances considered Epstein sweet and generous, although quiet and nerdy, and nicknamed him Epi. He was just an average boy, very smart in math, slightly overweight, freckles, always smiling, a female friend. A female friend later said, in 1967, Epstein attended the National Music Camp at the Interlochen Center for the Arts. He began playing the piano when he was 5 and was regarded as a talented musician by friends. He graduated in 1969 from Lafayette High School, at age 16, having skipped 2 grades. Later that year, he attended advanced math classes at Cooper Union until he changed colleges in 1971. From September 1971, he attended the Courant Institute of Mathematical Sciences at New York University, studying mathematical physiology, but left without receiving a degree in June 1974. Epstein started working in September 1974 as a physics and mathematics teacher for teens at the Dalton School on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Donald Barr, who served as the headmaster until June 1974, was known to have made several unconventional recruitments at the time, although it is unclear whether he had a direct role in hiring Epstein. 3 months after Barr's departure, Epstein began to teach at the school, despite his lack of credentials. Epstein was known for having a charismatic personality and treating his students more like friends than their teacher. However, he also allegedly showed inappropriate behavior toward underage female students at the time, paying them constant attention and even showing up at a party where young people were drinking, according to a former student. Other former students also often saw him flirting with female students. Eventually, Epstein became acquainted with Alan Greenberg, the chief executive officer of Bear Stearns, whose son and daughter were attending the school. Greenberg's daughter, Lynn Coepple, pointed to a parent teacher conference where Epstein influenced another Dalton parent into advocating for him to Greenberg. In June 1976, after Epstein was dismissed from Dalton for poor performance, Greenberg offered him a job at Bear Stearns. Epstein joined Bear Stearns in 1976 as a low-level junior assistant to a floor trader. He swiftly moved up to become an options trader, working in the special products division, and then advised the bank's wealthiest clients, such as Seagram President Edgar Bronfman, on tax mitigation strategies. Jimmy Kane, the bank's later chief executive officer, praised Epstein's skill with wealthy clients and complex products. In 1980, 4 years after joining Bear Stearns, Epstein became a limited partner. In 1981, Epstein was asked to leave Bear Stearns for, according to his sworn testimony, being guilty of a Reg D violation. Even though Epstein departed abruptly, He remained close to Kane and Greenberg and was a client of Bear Stearns until its collapse in 2008. In August 1981, Epstein founded his own consulting firm, Intercontinental Assets Group, Inc. IAG, which assisted clients in recovering stolen money from fraudulent brokers and lawyers. Epstein described his work at this time as being a high-level bounty hunter. He told friends that he worked sometimes as a consultant for governments and the very wealthy to recover embezzled funds, while at other times he worked for clients who had embezzled funds. Spanish actress and heiress Ana Obregón was one such wealthy client, whom Epstein helped in 1982 to recover her father's millions in lost investments, which had disappeared when Drysdale government securities collapsed because of fraud. Epstein also stated to some people at the time that he was an intelligence agent. During the 1980s, Epstein possessed an Austrian passport that had his photo, but with a false name. The passport showed his place of residence as Saudi Arabia. In 2017, a former senior White House official reported that Alexander Acosta, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida who had handled Epstein's criminal case in 2008, had stated to Trump transition interviewers, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone, and that Epstein was above his pay grade." Epstein installed concealed cameras in numerous places on his properties to allegedly record sexual activity with underage girls of prominent people for criminal purposes such as blackmail. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's long-term girlfriend and companion, told a friend that Epstein's private island in the Virgin Islands was completely wired for video, and the friend believed that Maxwell and Epstein were videotaping everyone on the island as an insurance policy. When police raided his Palm Beach residence in 2006, 2 hidden cameras were discovered in his home. It was also reported that Epstein's mansion in New York was wired extensively with a video surveillance system. Maria Farmer, an artist who worked for Epstein in 1996, noted that Epstein showed her a media room in the New York mansion, where there were individuals monitoring the pinhole cameras throughout the house. The media room was accessed through a hidden door. She stated that in the media room there were men sitting here,
is what he called it. Yeah. And so there was a door that looked like an invisible door with all this limestone.
And I looked on the cameras, and I saw toilet, bed, toilet, bed. She added that it was very obvious that they were, like, monitoring private moments.
Men sitting here, and I looked on the cameras, and I saw toilet, bed, toilet, bed. I'm like, I am never going to use the restroom here, and I'm never going to sleep here.
Epstein allegedly lent girls to powerful people to ingratiate himself with them and also to gain possible blackmail information. According to the Department of Justice, he kept compact discs locked in his safe in his New York mansion with handwritten labels that included the description, "Young Gunninane." Epstein implied that he had blackmail material when he told a New York Times reporter in 2018, off the record, that he had dirt on powerful people, including information about their sexual proclivities and recreational drug use. In March 2005, a woman contacted Florida's Palm Beach Police Department and alleged that her 14-year-old stepdaughter had been taken to Epstein's mansion by an older girl. While there, she was allegedly paid $300, equivalent to $450 in 2022, to strip and massage Epstein. She had allegedly undressed, but left the encounter wearing her underwear. Palm Beach police began a 13-month undercover investigation of Epstein, including a search of his home. During the investigation, Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Rieter publicly accused the Palm Beach County State Prosecutor, Barry Krischer, of being too lenient and called for help from the FBI. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, then became involved. Subsequently, the police alleged that Epstein had paid several girls to perform sexual acts with him. Interviews with 5 alleged victims and 17 witnesses under oath, a high school transcript and other items found in Epstein's trash and home allegedly showed that some of the girls involved were under 18, the youngest being 14, with many under 16. The police search of Epstein's home found 2 hidden cameras and large numbers of photos of girls throughout the house, some of whom the police had interviewed in the course of their investigation. Adriana Ross, a former model from Poland who became an Epstein assistant, reportedly removed computer drives and other electronic equipment from the financier's Florida mansion before Palm Beach police searched the home as part of their investigation. The court documents record that a search of Epstein's residence by Palm Beach police detective Joseph Recaray in 2005 uncovered an incriminating Amazon receipt containing books on SEM. The books he ordered title, A Realistic Introduction, Slavecraft, Roadmaps for Erotic Servitude, Principles, Skills, and Tools, and Training with Miss Abernathy, a workbook for erotic slaves and their owners. A former employee told the police that Epstein would receive massages 3 times a day. Eventually, the FBI compiled reports on 34 confirmed minors eligible for restitution, increased to 40 in the non-prosecution agreement, whose allegations of sexual abuse by Epstein included corroborating details. Julie Brown's 2018 exposes in the Miami Herald identified 80 victims and located about 60 of them. She quotes the then police chief Reiter as saying this was 50, something she's and one he's, and the she's all basically told the same story. Details from the investigation included allegations that 12-year-old triplets were flown in from France for Epstein's birthday and flown back the following day after being sexually abused by the financier. It was alleged that young girls were recruited from Brazil and other South American countries, former Soviet countries, and Europe, and that Jean-Luc Brunel's McToo modeling agency was also supplying girls to Epstein. In May 2006, Palm Beach police filed a probable cause affidavit saying that Epstein should be charged with 4 counts of unlawful sex with minors and 1 count of sexual abuse. On July 27, 2006, Epstein was arrested by the Palm Beach Police Department on state felony charges of procuring a minor for prostitution and solicitation of a prostitute. He was booked at the Palm Beach County Jail and later released on a $3,000 bond. State Prosecutor Krischer later convened a Palm Beach County grand jury, which was usually only done in capital cases, presented evidence from only 2 victims. The grand jury returned a single charge of felony, solicitation of prostitution, to which Epstein pleaded not guilty in August 2006. On July 6, 2019, Epstein was arrested by the FBI NIPT Crimes Against Children Task Force at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey on sex trafficking charges. He was jailed at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City, according to witnesses and sources on the day of his arrest. About a dozen FBI agents forced open the door to his Manhattan townhouse, the Herbert N. Strauss house, with search warrants. The search of his townhouse turned up evidence of sex trafficking and also found hundreds, and perhaps thousands, of sexually suggestive photographs of fully or partially nude females. Some of the photos were confirmed as those of underage females. In a locked safe, compact discs were found with handwritten labels, including the descriptions, Young Waitin' labels, including the descriptions, Young T-Main, Misk Nudes 1, and Girl Pics Nude. On July 23, 2019, Epstein was found injured and semi-conscious at 1:30 a.m. on the floor of his cell, with marks around his neck. His cellmate, former New York City police officer Nicholas Tartaglione, who was at the time awaiting trial for 4 counts of murder, was questioned about Epstein's condition. He denied having any knowledge of what happened. Correctional staff suspected attempted suicide, but did not rule out the possibility that it was staged or that he was assaulted by another inmate, according to NBC News. 2 sources said that Epstein might have tried to hang himself. A third said the injuries were not serious and could have been staged. And a 4th source said that an assault by his cellmate had not been ruled out. After that incident, he was placed on suicide watch. 6 days later, on July 29, 2019, Epstein was taken off suicide watch and placed in a special housing unit with another inmate. Epstein's close associates said he was in good spirits. On August 11, 2019, an autopsy was performed. It appeared likely that Epstein had thrown himself violently off the cell's top bunk, which would explain the damage he suffered, other than strangulation. The preliminary result of the autopsy found that Epstein sustained multiple breaks in his neck bones. Among the bones broken in Epstein's neck was the hyoid bone. Such breaks of the hyoid bone can occur from those who hang themselves, but they are more common in victims of homicide by strangulation. Epstein's death became the subject of widespread controversy and debate, with the belief that his death was a homicide becoming a popular meme. Bo is creating a limited series on Epstein's life and death to be directed and executive, produced by Adam McKay. Sony Pictures Television is additionally developing a miniseries based on Epstein's life. In the season 4 finale of the CBS series, The Good Fight, the plot revolves around Epstein's death. The Netflix documentary series Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich, premiered in May 2020. The Lifetime documentary, Surviving Jeffrey Epstein, premiered in August 2020.